All right, Patrick Reusse, what is on your mind on this Tuesday, sir?
Well, I have one thought. Thanks to Dave Campbell from AP, he sent me this. But go back to the early months of the pandemic, right? You got to go back to the early months of the pandemic. And the MIAC yesterday announced that they were moving back their playoffs by a day because of the snowstorm. And guess what they cited as the reason for doing this? Come on. You can remember. Let's go here.
Okay, hold on. So, you're going back 2 years now.
I'm going back to the most of 2000.
Okay, so
2020.
What would be the reason why?
Abundance of caution.
Oh,
yeah, I was trying.
That's right.
I was trying to think of the phrase. I knew what you were.
I forgot
after.
about that phrase.
Yes.
I totally forgot.
Abundance of caution. Now we have an abundance of caution because of snow. For years we just had snow, right?
Yes.
Now we have an abundance of caution because of snow. So
I'll say the first 2 months of the pandemic were Judd's favorite time on earth, by the way, because you just sit home, no human interaction. It's great.
No traffic. You couldn't go out. They wouldn't allow you to.
That's true. So the snow was a little late coming, but it has arrived now. So we might have to have an abundance of caution as we're driving out there today.
What words of advice do you have for young sports reporter Judd Zulgad here, who's been getting hammered by the Cousins Crusaders for reporting and suggesting that another team has made a phone call inquiring about Kirk's availability?
Well, just think up something to agitate them even more. That's usually what I try to do when for instance, when I get the gopher holers really coming after me, then you try to pour a little salt on the wound. So, but this Cousins thing, we were talking a little about it before he came on, is really weird because it was pretty much impossible to say anything good about him until this season, and where the Cousins maniacs came from. I have said in the past that I think it's a lot of it's political, and I because everything in America is now political, and so that's what I think. The ardent. I mean, there were people who said he's not as bad as you think he is, right? Okay,
yeah.
There were people, but the over the top defense of him now is new. We've never had that ever since he came here. We've never had that until.
It's weird. You know what it reminds me of a little bit? 10 years ago when Tim Tebow was an NFL quarterback.
Oh yeah,
and it always felt like people were backing him well beyond the point of his football abilities, right?
Yes. Oh, they were. That was very religious, and he's such a nice young man, and he's from Florida, but a little different than this. But yes, that was. I mean, you watched him deliver the football, and you said, "This guy can't play." Right? I mean, it was
yeah.
like that. Yeah. And then there was. He'd hit a home run every month in baseball. They're gonna call him up. He's hot, and then you'd look and he's hitting 218. But,
in Double-A, yeah.
Exactly. But it is kind of a Tebow like, that's for sure. And of course, remember when he threw the touchdown pass and Denver won the game because some safety screwed up and
Pittsburgh,
and
right?
let him run the long play.
Yeah.
Hey, Tim, it is, and just like Cousins. That guy always nauseated me because he was so sweet, and this whole. No, he was a good college quarterback. I don't have any complaint with that because he could, 3rd and 2, he just run the ball, right, get a first down. But
yeah, I think Tebow was one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time, and he is in terms of leadership. He does get locker rooms to buy in. He couldn't throw a football though.
Nah,
so there's differences here for sure. Like Cousins can throw a football.
People didn't like it when you said that he couldn't throw a football, but you're right. That defense-wise, it is kind of similar here in a smaller area, in Minnesota. But that is a good comparison to the way people were crazy about Tebow, because I used to rip him all the time when he was playing in the NFL, and I get a lot of feedback then too. So. But I didn't do it that.
Yeah, just exchanges with people.
Yeah, polite
I
feedback.
didn't do a feedback for feedback though. I did it because I thought he stunk. As an NFL quarterback. So.
Hey Pat, what player do you most wish Twitter had been around in his playing career that you covered, so you could have given him the necessary angst that you can give a guy like Fleck now?
Francis was
God. Okay.
Francis was a smug, overconfident, we had the entire media here was, one of the great competitions between Klobuchar and Tarkenton and Sid was who could smooch Tarkenton's butt the most severely. It was an absolute bloodbath as to who could smooch up to Francis the most and get the most quotes from Fran. And Sid always felt bad because Klobuchar got better quotes from Tarkenton than he did, mainly because Kloby helped write those quotes for Tarkenton. Kloby would think up something extremely bright for Francis to say, and then Francis would say it. Sid would be very upset that Klobuchar, I can't figure out how he gets those great quotes from Tarkenton, even though Sid had talk to him every day after every game. It would have been fun to agitate Tarkenton, but just because he was so egotistical. People forget that I think it was his last year, and he was this heroic figure, but he threw 32 interceptions his last year, 1978. 32, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that's right.
And led the world, and he got booed a few times at Met Stadium, a couple of times at Met Stadium, because they were not. That was 78 was when they started going downhill, and because 77 he got hurt 77, and they made the conference championship game because of the Mud Bowl that year. But 78 he got booed a couple times. He had a big sit down, I think, with Klobuchar and the Star Tribune. Maybe Ralphie Reed was there, complaining about how they have this town has no respect for veterans who have done a lot for the city. It was a big, long piece of a whine of incredible proportions. It was in the middle of the 78 season that would have been really fun to be. I was covering baseball then. It would have been really fun to be writing columns then and making fun of that whole thing, was because the rest of the Viking media was just smooching up to him then, and Francis is right, and blah blah blah.
Yeah. Do you ever? You're sitting here, late 70s Vikings. Did you ever sit back, both you guys, because Judd, you were, or at least you were a kid in the 70s, and think, how is it possible that this franchise has not gone back to a Super Bowl?
Yes, we
how?
were saying 46 years now, 46 years, or 45 seasons, 45 seasons. They have not. Yes, I was saying that a week ago or so to Judd that's. I don't think not winning a Super Bowl is not nearly as amazing as not going back to a Super Bowl in 45 years. Yeah.
The Bengals, since then, the Bengals, who've been trash for the majority of my life, have been to 3.
Yes, that's true. They've been to 3. Tampa Bay, now they got there in a weird way, but Tampa Bay was awful. For a long, long stretch of time, and they've
won 2.
Won 2, yeah, they've won 2. So, yeah, it is incredible. You know what? And it's, when you think of it, what have they been in? 5 title games since then, or 4?
5,
Danny was
right?
in.
5,
Danny was in 2.
87.
Bernsey was in 1 too. Yeah,
yep.
5.
Yep.
5.
Denny 2, Childress
1,
Zimmer.
Which isn't really that impressive either, is it, to be in the 5 conference championship games in 45 years?
Because they've been good. That's the amazing thing.
Yeah.
How are you this good, this consistently, and you don't stumble into like one, hey, we made it to the Super Bowl, we're here, right?
That's
the 98 team.
Yeah, that is, And I keep when I was writing about Denny again, I was ranking the coaches the other day. I was thinking again. I think Hedrick would not let him draft Warren Sapp when he drafted Derek Alexander because Sapp had flunked a
Drug test.
Marijuana, and there was cocaine rumors, and he was a bad guy. And I've always said, you put him on that 98 team, they could have tried their best. They couldn't have lost if they had him on that team, right?
Yep.
If they had him on that team. So, Denny wasn't much for drafting defenders, but I don't think Denny was stupid enough to think Derek Alexander was a better football player than Warren Sapp. So,
yeah. Did you, Patrick, happen to see the Aaron Rodgers Instagram post?
Now what?
Let me pull it up here for you. So
last night, my man. Oh.
He loves himself some attention. He loves to be vague, right?
Yeah.
And so he posted, I don't know, there must be 10 photos in here. By the way, there was rumors that him and his fiancee, Shailene Woodley, however you pronounce her name, had broken up.
Yeah, well, she'd said publicly, her publicist had said they broke up, I think.
That's right. So here's the post, right? The first picture, it's an Instagram thread. So the first picture is gratitude is wine for the soul. Go on, get drunk on gratitude. And the second picture is him with Woodley just kind of snuggling up next to each other. And I don't know if I'll read the whole thing here, but the post is, here's some Monday night gratitude for some of the incredibly special people in my life with some pictures from the last beautiful year. Shailene Woodley, thanks for letting me chase after you the first couple months after we met and finally letting me catch up to you and be part of your life. Thanks for always having my back, for the incredible kindness, et cetera, et cetera. Thank you for showing me what unconditional love looks like. I love you and I'm grateful for you. But it doesn't confirm if they're like still together or if it's a breakup post. And then he goes on to
look
thank.
in the mirror if he wants to know what unconditional love looks like.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes. That reminds me of one of my favorite wrestling gimmicks when Lex Luger went to the WWE in the mid-90s, and his gimmick was the narcissist Lex Luger.
Yes.
And he had someone carrying a mirror around all
Oh, that was great.
so he could look in the mirror. But he goes on to thank his coaches, his teammates, and everything. To everyone else, spread love and gratitude to beautiful people, and read a book once in a while you're at it. Love and peace.
He must have been smoking some dope last night or something.
Or into some tequila. One of the two.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So everyone's like, is he
Shailene,
retiring? What is he?
I thought they had statements from Shailene that their different view of life was.
I think they're done.
Yeah.
Oh no, I think they're done. I just think that he's off his rocker.
Well, she's a lefty that wants to save the world, and pro-vaccine and all those things. And I read something where they just their solution was to attempt not to ever talk politics. But how do you do that?
Good luck. Yeah.
How do you do that?
It's not possible, but Favre has been replaced by a guy who's a worse attention whore than Favre was.
But you know what? Later in life too, right? It's happened to him the last 5 or 6 years.
Grown.
Right? I don't think he was this needy before. Do you?
No.
I think my guess is he's always been a little bit like this.
Well, there has to be a reason he and his brother don't talk to each other, and his family.
Yes.
And there's got to be something going on there. So.
Yeah. By the way,
if you don't get along with your mother, there's something wrong with you, right? Isn't that?
Especially when you're like 40. Like if you're 21, or you're 40, dude.
Yeah. Right.
One of the sports books just adjusted. I think it's Bovada. They just adjusted this morning their odds to minus 350. Rodgers going back to the Packers.
Wow.
So heavy favorite. So
I think he'll be in Denver. I really do think he'll be in Denver. So, and I think we have very good information that Kirk is headed to Carolina too, ladies and gentlemen.
You're darn right we do. That's right.
Yep. One phone call, it's exploded.
I love how Judd also said like it didn't go anywhere, and everyone's like he's lying.
If you're Kirk, you want to go down there though and play in that. Of course,
that division's wide open now.
Yeah, it is. Tampa, Peyton and New Orleans doesn't have a quarterback, and Tampa doesn't have a quarterback. Yeah, you're right. Atlanta's not very good. Yeah, I guess they they might be interested.
It makes so much sense. I mean, the Carolina.
Well,
we'll
God,
talk more about this, but
if
it
they'll
makes so
give you
much
a
sense.
number one and
Oh Christ!
3 and something else, you got to make the trade.
Their number one is 6th overall,
Yeah.
by the way. So if they at any point offer the 6th overall pick,
Oh,
you
God,
run to the
yes.
bank.
Yeah.
And they don't have a second and third, right? I think the Panthers
Vikings?
don't have a second. No, I think the Panthers.
You're the one
Panthers
reporting. You tell us.
Don't have a second and third.
So they're going to go the Rams route, load up with veterans, and they all want to come to Carolina and play for me. By the way, we've left poor Sean McVay without a coaching staff, haven't we? We've got about 5 of his guys.
He doesn't need coaches, Pat. He
Huh?
doesn't need coaches. He doesn't need them. He just, you know what? He's a cyborg.
Yeah,
He'll coach you
I
everything
know.
himself.
I don't. I thought that you couldn't routinely steal other teams' coaches, and unless you
Well,
gave
Can't
you're-
unless they
you're-
sign
if
off
you're-
on it.
And if you're promoting them, right? Can't you?
I think they can block that. No, they can block a promotion unless it's to head coach. And I think there's incentives now for a minority candidate to be promoted to coordinator, but those didn't exist a couple of years ago.
Yeah, well, so he must figure he can hire some other guys. Huh?
Yeah.
He hasn't re-signed yet, though, has he? His extension, McVay. I don't know. He's supposed to be getting an extension.
Yeah, I don't
I don't
think
know
he
about
signed
that.
anything. So apparently he makes like $8 million a year. Belichick makes like 15 or something. Mike Zimmer made
yeah.
8. So
Oh,
if I'm McVay, I want
Patrick.
15.
Patrick, tell Phil your Zim intelligence from the East Coast. That you
He was hanging out in the area where Bill Belichick would be last week for a couple of days.
Wow.
And Judd and I have decided he'll be these training camp consultants in all likelihood, because he doesn't want to give Ziggy a break and take another job. He wants to get all of Ziggy's money. So, and he's the kind of guy that Belichick will bring in as a special consultant. As Judd said, teach him the A gap and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
That's
such a
good little
Belichick
scoop.
thing.
That's
Such
good
a
little
Belichick
scoop.
thing.
Except for one thing, Pat. You're lying. It can't be true. No, Zim would never leave.
No. Well, when we throw something like that out, we should use an abundance of caution, because this is
should.
sports radio.
Yeah, we got reckless speculation.
Look at that. Pat's still doing callbacks in his 70s. Still doing the callbacks.
Oh, he loves abundance
Love
of
it.
caution. He loves buzzwords, phrases.
All right,
right.
gentlemen. I think
right.
you're breaking up on me a little here. You doing okay there, Declan, or not?
Yeah. I think. Well, we'll talk to you tomorrow, Pat. All right.
All right. Are you
right.
out of town here, Phil, or you got a shovel with the rest of us?
I'm back. Well, I'm out of town. I'm back in my town, and I'm shoveling because
Okay.
it snowed here last night. So.
All right.
Oh, it'll snow in Seattle.
Very
See
very
ya,
excited.
gents.
All right.
Bye-bye.
See you, Pat.
See ya,
That's,
Pat.
Rapping with Reusse on the Score North YouTube channel and the Mackey and Judd podcast.